Okay, welcome in everyone. I can actually hear feedback today on my audio, so that's a positive. I apologise for being a little bit late. I was just getting a few things organised in the background beforehand. I have a certain little dog who's been a little bit unsettled this morning, so trying to just get him sorted out so he'll go to sleep, touch wood. Oh my gosh, what a crazy couple of days. Just I'm not going to go too much into the circus that we witnessed yesterday, but I have to say, it's not surprising. I think we're looking at someone who does have mental health problems and someone who became jealous because I did a video focusing on Belinda Gray, and that took attention away from that individual. So we got that performance. If you're not certain what I'm talking about, it was that crazy woman again over on Vodka Man's channel with some totally ridiculous story about being chased by, um, I don't know what she was being chased by, some goon in a Honda or something. I don't know. It was just one of those ridiculous stories that was just absolutely, absolutely nuts. Um, so that was very, very interesting. We've also too many balaclavas, that's right. I only got time to listen to it, a little bit of it this morning. I spent all of yesterday after my live working on audio from that video that was released by the foggy woman, because I cannot listen to the audio where the voice has been adjusted. So I've been working my butt off on that, trying to fix up the audio so it's listenable. And I will be coming back to that a little bit in this live. I will be doing a full live stream when I get all the audio fixed up. But it's revealing, but it's also been a seriously challenging task, because it seems that each audio clip has been adjusted in different ways, including adding a bit of robot sound. Um, so sorry, and now we get a loud truck going past. Sky Painter, there are so many lies, it's ridiculous. What I do want to do is go through and get clips of the things that are not really worth talking about, the things that should be spoken about. And I will do that in a separate live stream. I certainly don't want to do a live stream where I just go through all the crazy, because there's a lot that just should not have been on there. Yeah, Charlotte, not only did she manage to leave her phone at home. Hang on, I'm just going to pin that. I didn't pin it, I lost you. Not only did she apparently manage to leave her phone at home, but she also managed to call her husband from the car and call 911 from the car while doing, wasn't she saying 140 kilometers an hour? That's pretty impressive. That's actually really, really impressive. I know that if I'm on the freeway heading down to Melbourne and I'm overtaking someone and I put my foot on the pedal a little bit, and our maximum on the freeway here is 110, and the penalties for speeding are huge here, so nobody speeds in Victoria. I will put my foot down a little bit if I'm overtaking someone. You can bet if I'm overtaking someone, I'm not taking either of my hands off the steering wheel. So, very, very impressive. Um, I was gobsmacked by some of the stuff I was hearing. It was just insane. I think it's a bad choice for that content creator to encourage this because he's just destroyed the reputation of his channel, especially given that he claims to be a statement analysis person, and yet he can't actually figure out that that's all a load of BS. Oh, you got it, April. You are spot on. That's what it is. Maybe her $1,500 ring has superpowers, but maybe also it's got a hidden phone in it. Who knows? Um, look, honestly, if he wants people to consider his channel as being credible ever again, the only recommendation I can have would be to remove all that content and move on to a different case. Because certainly with this case, he's destroyed his reputation. He is going to be Vodka Man from here on in. But yeah, look, he hasn't been doing himself any favors. Neither has his buddy. Yeah, honestly, the ridiculous stuff that was coming out of her mouth, and I will come back to that shortly because I do have some things to share with you. Maybe she was driving the Batmobile. I love it. You guys crack me up. Yeah, Crazy Buck said that. I can't remember why she said she was getting a new Mercedes, but apparently she was getting a new Mercedes. Um, oh dear, it was just hilarious. I mean, it's the sort of thing you've just got to laugh about. I mean, at least when she's doing that sort of drama, she's not saying damaging stuff relating to people, family members connected to the case. But wow, just seriously unreal. Good to see you, Chelsea. And I mean, I still cannot wrap my head around it. And look, on a more serious note, someone made a comment in one of my videos yesterday about me being right about her turning on Belinda. It breaks my heart. It's not something I wanted to be right about. It upset me. It made me mad. And then to hear him encouraging that, and then to hear him making accusations against Charmaine, who now I have to admit, I keep forgetting to go look for her channel. I keep forgetting what her channel is called. But you know, she's been in this with the right intentions from day one. She's been Sonny's offsider for an eternity, long before this case. And then with this case, she decided to branch out and start her own channel, which I think is a great move. You know, she's got her own things to share. So for him to then make accusations against her, I was disappointed. I really was. It was unnecessary. It was uncalled for. And it was pretty damn immature. Stunting. I've never heard that term. As in, like, stunt driving. In Australia, thank you. Just put that up. Shah's True Crime Story podcast. In Australia, if you were caught doing 140 kilometres, you would lose your license, I believe. I haven't checked because I can't even afford the fine if it's like more than 10K over. I think it's a couple of $100 if it's more than 10K over. Like I said, penalties in Australia for speeding are huge. So, there's no way I'd be doing that, and it's good to know that Canada is the same. Chelsea, I agree with you. And, me not watching her content, it's just a time factor for me. There's a number of channels that I love. It's just, yeah, we have impounding of vehicles as well here in Australia. I'm not sure what the excess is where your vehicle gets impounded, but you can bet that we hear about it here. They make sure that they let the media know that they have impounded a vehicle for speeding. So it's good to know that Canada does the same. I know, I can't remember what it was in reference to. Oh, it was on my other channel that I don't really do anything with anymore. And I was doing a comparison between road deaths in the United States and road deaths in Australia. And the ratio is phenomenal. I think it is 10 times more per population, like head of population in America than it is in Australia. And, that comes back to our really heavy penalties for speeding. And, I'm glad of that because I like to know that I can hop in my car and drive down to Melbourne and should get down there pretty safely. Half Moon, $400 is actually average for penalties in Australia. They are massive, the sort of penalties that they charge here for speeding and stuff. So yeah, it's good to know that there are other places that do have those sort of penalties. Now, there's a few things that I'm gonna talk about in this live stream, but I did want to make it a more relaxed one. It's that sort of Monday morning for me, start of the week, Sunday evening for a lot of you guys, so I like to just be relaxed. I want to just do a quick recap about yesterday's live stream, not the details, just and I'll come back to that in half a moment. I also, well, and from that I'll be moving on to the court case, essentially what we can expect tomorrow. Just a reminder of where things are at, so in case you missed the discussions last time, or just to refresh your memory. So, first of all, I did want to bring up yesterday's live stream, um, because if you missed it, it is one that I highly recommend watching. And look, I'm so grateful for Belinda and Chelsea for trusting me to do this. Because it was a challenging live stream to do. So to have Belinda and Chelsea's trust for them to allow me to do it was huge. And I can't even begin to say how thankful I was that they trusted me with that. If you've not seen this live stream, please consider going and watching it. I think it will give you a much, much deeper understanding of where Belinda is coming from. A much deeper understanding of why I've been so supportive of Belinda and why I get so ticked off when I see bullying. And also I think it's a reminder too for consideration of other family members of Lily and Jack. It relates to all this gossip about Cindy at the moment as well, because she's their grandmother as well. It relates to all the other family members who are being trashed by this crazy woman. So yeah, I really, really strongly recommend, if you've not watched it, please go and watch it. I'm not saying this because it's my content. I'm saying this because I want people to understand where Belinda is coming from. Yeah, crazy. Definitely. If you do go and watch it, probably have some tissues on hand. Probably people guessed by how quickly I ended it yesterday that I became quite emotional, and this is even though I had watched the news clips, I had read the story, I knew it all. I'd had a little bit of a conversation in the background with Chelsea about it, but I got quite emotional at the end, and the song at the end had me in tears. It certainly took me a while to just reset my brain after that. But it's definitely worth watching because I think it is something important that is so worth gaining that understanding. Because when we look at these cases, it is so easy for people to get caught up in all the drama, to get caught up in all the gossip and forget that this is about real people. And also to forget about the real people connected to the people who are missing. I see this with every case where it's like people start to get bored and they start focusing on people who just simply have some connection to the case and shouldn't have any sort of focus on them. So I thought it was an appropriate time to do this. So moving on from this, the bulk of what I wanted to talk about, yeah, Chelsea, I just talking about it get a little bit emotional. Um, so I'm going to move on for that reason. I gather from Belinda's post last night for me, that it probably hit her quite hard too. So I hope she's doing okay. I think it was the right time to share it. So I hope that Belinda is doing okay, and I hope that people are being extra kind to Belinda right now, because it's only a few weeks since the anniversary of the loss of the Bonnie Lou 2. So it was already something that was kind of fresh. So then to have this discussion yesterday, yeah, I could imagine that right now, and especially with the crap that was going on in the Vodka Man's live stream, definitely right now, Belinda needs a bit of love from everyone, I would say. Okay, I am going to... Okay, I can't unpin that, but that's okay. I'm going to move on to start talking about Daniel's case. But first of all, I'm going to do a little ad for you. Now, this is not one that is actually sponsored. This is just me putting it out there because I know there are people...
So let me ask you this.
Oh, whoops, hang on. No, I'm not going to do that ad. Okay. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to do a quick preview. Sorry, now I know where I'm at. I've even made myself a list that I have sitting over on the side of my desk, listing what I have in order, so that I don't do a stuff up like that. But clearly, my brain's not quite in the game right now. So I mentioned at the start of this live stream that I spent a lot of time yesterday working on cleaning up some audio, and I will be doing a live stream on it later in the week. But what I'm going to do in a moment is a little snippet from that. We can all see how much Belinda loves her grandchildren. I have to say, every time I watch that CBC interview, I have serious envy over that cool little cubby house that's directly behind her when she's doing that interview. Because as a little kid, I would have loved something like that if my grandmother had that in her house. Admittedly, we had a massive, massive backyard at my grandmother's house with countless fruit trees and a big wattle tree that was, almost like a cubby house because you could go and hide under there. But just, seeing that gorgeous little cubby house behind Belinda when she was doing that interview, and seeing the rail near the cubby house where she's put padding over the rail to make sure that none of her grandchildren run into the rail and injure themselves. I mean, blind Freddie can see how much Belinda cares about her grandchildren. And I think some people forget that. And I think I'm just hoping that some of the people who have been negative on Facebook maybe watch that and try and gain a bit of perspective. There's no reason to bully anybody in this case. There is no reason to attack any family members or any close friends of family members because they weren't there on that property when those children went missing. The only people that we should be focusing on is the 3 people who were on that property. And I think people have forgotten that. People have got so caught up in the drama, the gossip, the bullying, that, things have gone off in a really bad direction. And I said this a week or so back. This is when things started going quiet with the Summerwells case. When people started getting into the ridiculous crap. I wasn't covering, I didn't even have a channel back then. I was following Summer's case really closely. There were multiple content creators who I was following who were covering her case. And then the Gabby Petito case happened and I switched to following that. By the time Gabby's case was pretty much done and dusted, I tried to go back and find out what was going on with Summer's case, and it was just all drama, nothing to do with Summer at all, and I stopped following it. These days, I know it is like 4 years on, nearly 5 years on, I think, but you don't see a lot of content about Summer Wells because you had the usual vultures come in, tear the case to shreds, move on to something else. And then you get the diehards like Justin and Sunny who still go back and talk about Summer. But, they're not covering her case regularly. But a lot of the other good content creators like them just moved on completely because of the drama. And I don't want to see that happen here. I don't believe that this is going to go on as long as Summer's case. I feel quite confident that the RCMP have got this in hand. I don't know what the story is with Summer's case, why it's taken so long, why they haven't made an arrest. I don't even know why Don Wells hasn't been arrested for other things. But anyway, that's not for this. So what I'm going to play is a clip from this latest video that was done by this Foggy Bottoms woman, whatever she is. It's an interview with one of the people connected to that Monsters Who's Me What's It channel. I don't watch it. I've seen a few videos and I wasn't impressed. But I think I've spent, after yesterday's live stream, I spent pretty much right up until when I went to bed working on the audio. I'm up to probably the third draft by now. Just trying to clean up the audio so that it's something that actually can be listened to, because what she's put out, she's tried to disguise the audio so much that it is really, I can't listen to it. I started listening, and within about 3 or 4 seconds of the voice coming in, I clicked off. Because what she's done is she's altered the voice of the person that she was speaking to. The reason why it's been taking me so long to adjust the audio is because each audio clip has been altered in a different way. What I'm looking at today is one clip from this, because this one is just so laughable, that I wanted to address it and also give you a bit of a preview in terms of what we're looking at when I do a live stream about this. So I'm going to press play. I'm just going to warn you that the voice is a bit grating because I'm still trying to get rid of the robot sound from the background. I've done the best I can so far. I'm not sure if I can get it much better, but I'm going to play this and then I'm going to tell you why it is so incredibly laughable, this thing that this person is claiming.
Is there one piece of information, one thing above everything else, that you believe matters the most that people are not seeing?
I would have to say, if I answered that in a two-part answer, the first answer would be that the key information to me that makes things change a lot is the fact that there was a school teacher that had contacted through the school app messaging Malaya at 9:38 asking if the children were okay if they come to school. And Malaya messaged her within 1 minute at 9:39 and said, the kids are homesick. Well, that makes absolutely no sense. If you're A, frantic looking for your children at that time, or, B, worrying about calling 911 or anything, like, what in the world? That is way too close to when she called the police. What is the purpose of that lie? Because she clearly knew the children were not homesick. They're missing.
Okay, so the story here, and no, she doesn't give the source of her information. There's other audio clips where there's one or two where basically I listen to it and I know exactly who it is that's doing this interview. Not only that, but their speech patterns give them away really clearly. So, but I'll discuss that another time. Now, I don't know where this information comes from, but it is complete utter BS. Yes, it's probably come from Anita again, because she seems to love making up stories. But I can tell you with 100% confidence, I could say this is 1000% ironclad. Yep, you are spot on, Tickle Tickle. I'm not seen you in here before, but you are spot on. It is one of those. No, when you hear the other bits of audio, it's not Anita. But let's address this. So she's claiming that this teacher contacted Malaya at, what did she say, 9:38, and Malaya replied 1 minute afterwards. Now, there's a few problems with this. First of all, we know that Malaya marked the children absent using the toolbox that morning. So, first of all, before we go into the why it wouldn't happen in the first place, the children were already marked absent, so there would have been no need for a phone call from a teacher to say, is this person, are your children absent? So, for starters, that just is an absolute joke. You know, teachers do not do that. They don't go through the register and go, oh, this child's been marked absent. I'll just ring up their parent and just confirm that they're marked absent. But here's the thing that just makes it so incredibly laughable. And it shows me that this person clearly does not have young children, probably has never had children, or has at least never set foot in a classroom ever. Because anyone who has ever gone into an early childhood classroom at 9:30 of a morning will know that no early childhood teacher is going to be communicating with a parent on an app. Yes, Karen, it is voice modified. All the clips are voice modified. At the moment, I'm just trying to get them listenable, basically. Unfortunately, I can't get them to line up back to the original voice. There's a few instances where I can, where this foggy woman has basically only altered the pitch and not added anything else. But yeah, the voice has been modified. I can't even speak to whether or not I've got the pitch correct here because I had to change all that. I had to do a lot of work to get the audio to this point where we could actually hear what was being said. So, going back to why no teacher is going to be communicating with a parent at 9:30 in the morning or 9:39, especially not in an early childhood classroom. Now, this is a small school for starters. So, I would imagine, and I haven't done my research, so I'm just guessing here, that I would imagine that for starters, each of these classes is split grades in that now Lily was 6, so she would have been probably prep, maybe grade 1, but I would say probably prep. I wouldn't be surprised if her class was a mix of maybe kinder children on some days, maybe prep through to grade 1. Oh, she was grade 1, was she? Half moon, thank you. I just suspect that given the size of the school, that you have a few different grades in one class. So just for starters. But regardless of that, even, I mean, early childhood especially, but any level, you walk into a classroom at 20 to 10 of a morning, and what you are going to see is a very, very busy class, because that is the period of the day when the children are the most focused on they're most focused. That is the period of the day. Now, I can't speak to Canadian schools, but that is the period of the day where in Australian schools they are working on probably a lot of numeracy tasks, a lot of the really, really focused learning. There's probably additional teacher aides in that classroom helping because they've probably got group work happening, because this is when the children are the most focused. This is when they achieve their best learning. So no teacher, especially in an early childhood classroom, is going to be sitting down to deal with an app at that time of day. Teachers just do not have time for that sort of thing, especially not in that early part of the day when they are busy with the children. You can guarantee that if you walked into an early... Oh, thank you, Cassandra. Salt Springs averages about 11 kids per grade. So you are going to have split grades, which means that the teacher's going to be working even harder, because when it comes to that early morning block, that crucial learning time, then they're going to have, most likely, have the children working in groups. Given the age group, there's probably going to be a lot of hands-on things as well. So no way is a teacher going to be communicating with a parent at that time of day. But not only that, that's not what a teacher does. Yes, if a child has been absent for an extended period of time, a teacher might sit down after school and ring the parent and say, I'm just checking in to make sure you're doing okay, to make sure the child's doing okay, because they've not been here for a while. But they're not going to be doing any of that admin stuff in the morning. That's what the office staff are for. But the office staff are only going to be contacting a parent to follow up if there is no record of the child being absent. But not only that, especially in lower socioeconomic areas, and I gather that when it comes to Salt Springs, there are a number of children there from lower socioeconomic areas. In terms of communicating with parents if a child's absent and there's no record of it, the school office is not going to contact parents early on in that morning block, because what you get with families from the lower socioeconomic backgrounds is that you get children coming in late. So there will be a cut-off time for teachers to do their attendance. These days, if it's anything like Australia, they have to do their attendance digitally. That gets checked by the office at a particular time. In Australia, they'll get in trouble with the office if they haven't got their attendance done in time. Someone with the in the office might ring them and say, do your attendance now, or send it through to me, or someone might drop in. But they're not going to be acting on absent children until well into the morning, because of there are times when children will come in late. Yeah, tickle tickle. I've heard that high schools will do that, send through a recorded message saying that people have missed so many classes. These days, I believe that that's what these apps are used for. So now there was, I believe what happens is that a parent now gets an automatic text message or an automatic email to say that their child has been absent. Yes, Cassandra, occasionally a class might have a special first period. For the most part, when it comes to early childhood, they're not going to have that special first period in the first period of the day, because when you are talking about children in those early childhood grades up to about grade 2, maybe even grade 3, then as the day progresses, their focus wanes And that's when, with the younger children, that's when they end up having their specialist classes. Because the older children in the upper primary grades can focus better, even the second block after they've had their recess. You're starting to lose a bit with your early childhood kids. So you will find that the structure these days tends to be that in that early block, that block before the children have their recess, you are not going to see early childhood children out with specialist classes. If they have specialist classes, they're probably going to be bumped through to the afternoon. But the other thing is, when you are looking at your I'm not sure what you call it in Canada, but pre-kinder, kinder, they tend to have very few specialist classes. Pre-kinder might not have any, it depends on the schools, but they're going to have very few because a lot of what it is just getting them used to being in school. It's that play-based learning. It's creating a safe environment. So, they're not going to have specialist time first up of a morning. So I don't know where they got this ridiculous idea from. But I can tell you that there's no way in any reality that a teacher is going to be contacting a parent at 9:38 in the morning. It just doesn't happen. Pre-primary, so that's before kinder, that's the under 5. I'm just going to pin this. So it's different in every country. So in Australia, we have pre-kinder, which is basically before they start school. I think in Victoria they have another type of kinder that's the before the regular kinder, and it's like, I think they call it 4-year-old kinder or something like that. It's I mean, it's even different in different states here. So I know in Tassie, where I came from, it was pre-kinder. I know it used to be called preschool. I know, Bonza, you're in New South Wales, aren't you? You New South Wales or Queensland? Northern states again have different names for it. So you've got Quebec has pre-kinder, preschool in, I think, New South Wales and Queensland. And look, at the end of the day, I just want to point something out that people probably don't realise. New South Wales, yep. So New South Wales has has, what did you put? I've lost that now. Preschool. I just want to point something else out too. I was looking at the document and it's got the reference to their teacher giving a statement to RCMP. If you actually do your research, you will discover that Nancy Galland, who was their teacher, is also the acting principal. On what planet is an acting principal going to break protocol and share information with someone relating to 2 missing children? It's not going to happen. So, again, it's just a ridiculous story. It's clearly come from, well, who knows where it's come from. Maybe Anita's feeding them stories. Maybe it's one that just this individual that is on this interview has made up on her own. But it's complete utter BS. And yet these people are trying to claim credibility. Okay, I want to move on and talk about what we can expect with Daniel's next appearance, but I'll also do a quick recap. Yeah, the lawyer and that PI are from the same area, aren't they? I believe. Yeah. I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk about what we've seen already in terms of Daniel's appearances and what we can expect moving on. But sorry, I'm laughing at Sky Painter's comment. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to put that up, but I'm going to anyway, just briefly. Not just credibility, and I won't read the rest out loud because it might get flagged, but yep, okay. I kind of have to agree with you there. Okay, so a lot of people have expressed how much they would dearly love to be able to travel to Nova Scotia to watch the trial. And I know for a lot of people that fuel is prohibitive, although it sounds like Canada's doing way better than Australia. I think, I can't remember what I was being told yesterday by someone, but our fuel prices in Australia, or at least in Victoria, I don't know about the other states, it actually sounds to me like New South Wales is worse, so maybe Bonza can tell us. But currently, fuel in Victoria here is over $2.50 a litre. So I'm thinking that people probably can't afford to travel to Nova Scotia to watch any of this. But, you know, since people have expressed an interest, yes, Karen, definitely time to take the bus. Our state government has made public transport free here at the moment because of fuel costs, which is really good. So instead of costing me, what, $50 to drive down to Melbourne and back, I can hop on the train and go down for free. So I just wanted to share this accommodation option for people. Because I just came across this. Now, if you're wanting to head down to Nova Scotia and you want somewhere that's by the sea, nice little cottage overlooking Peggy's Cove, which is a really popular spot. There's a lighthouse there that you can look at. If you wanted to go somewhere like that for accommodation, there is a place called Lighthouse Lane Cottages. And they have a number of different cottages. And there's one that I like particularly, and I'll show you an image in a minute. It's called Seahorse Cottage. They have all different names, and this one is Seahorse Cottage. And it's quite a nice looking little cottage. I think I've got 3 slides because that doesn't show what I'm trying to show you. But, you know, nice weekend spot if you want to just rent a cottage to stay in for a while. And, you know, what makes it really good is that in one of the rooms where, Chicken Whisperer, you're reading me completely, aren't you? You know what I'm talking about here. In one of the rooms, you've got your bed, and you've even got I think it's they're all like fully self-contained cottages. But see, I love this room in this Seahorse Cottage because you can stumble out of bed, you can go over, you can turn on the television, and then right by that sliding glass door. Now, if you open that sliding glass door, there's lovely little seats you can sit on outside, and they're pretty because they're painted blue. And you can sit on these seats outside and you can just enjoy the view. But you've also got right there in your room a microwave and a little bar fridge. So now this is only one room in that cottage, but it just shows you what a nice little cottage it is. If you want to rent a cottage somewhere at Peggy's Cove, if you just happen to be going to Nova Scotia for Daniel's trial. Now, I should have also loaded up the picture that shows you the chairs outside, but they're painted in this really, really bright blue, and there's a little wooden table too. So you can have the blinds open with your sliding glass door here. You can sit on that little grey couch that faces the television, and you can look out the window. You can keep your wine cool in the little bar fridge there. Maybe have a yak to your friends on the phone while you're sitting there, while you entertain yourself. Who knows? But yeah, so just yes, and there is a very nice checkered rug on the floor because, you know, being close to the ocean, you get a bit of sand outside around those seats. So there is that rug inside the door to try and stop too much of the sand getting in. But yeah, you know, somewhere where you can just kick back of a night, open that blind, look out across at the lighthouse, or look at the view over across the way, or just sit at the couch with your wine, have a chat with a friend on the phone, and yeah, you've got your bar fridge right there in front of you that you can go and store your wine in, jump into to get whatever you want. So just a little bit of free advertising for that particular place. Cabot Blue, that's the colour, yeah. It has these gorgeous little, it has this, whoops, that's but that's appropriate to put up too. Wine, and wine. But yeah, it has these beautiful Cabot Blue chairs outside. So, you know, it does sound lovely, doesn't it? Nice place where you could just sit and relax, sit and have a nice long chat with a friend on the phone. I've heard it can be a little bit noisy at times. Sometimes apparently you get people turning up. But you know, yeah, it is a nice place if you were looking somewhere. There's actually multiple rooms, so I guess, you know, this is just one room that I showed. But I don't know, Ginger's mum, if they are soundproof rooms. But oops, you guys keep chatting and then I lose what I'm trying to. But anyway, it does look like a very cute room, and certainly somewhere where you could be quite comfortable sitting and chatting away with someone with your wine sitting there in the bar fridge for when you want your refills. Anyway, so that's an option. I believe it's booked at the moment. So I believe that currently there is someone in that particular little holiday home. Sounds like you have to book ahead to get a room there. But yeah, little bungalows, very cute, popular by the sounds of it. I can't guarantee the sort of people that are going to be around you if you stay there, but there's an option if you know nothing about the area and you want somewhere to stay if you're planning on going there for Daniel's trial. Anyway, I'll just move beyond that screen, but I'll hope if anyone wanted to screenshot that they did. But yeah, so it's called and I jotted it down and I forgot, but I think it's called Lighthouse Lane Cottages, and that particular cottage is Seahorse Cottage, I believe. So you can look it up and you can have a look at all the pictures. It shows you the view as well. Lovely place by the looks of it. Okay, so moving on to Daniel. So tomorrow is his next appearance. Well, tomorrow for me, kind of overnight for me. I guess it is tomorrow for all of us, I guess. So the first question is, who is going to be there? So it seems like Shenanigans is going to be going there for us again. So I hope that this time she's actually dropped a line to Daniel to make sure that he remembers to wave to her, because it's very rude when you see someone you don't know and you don't wave to them. So hopefully he'll see her this time. Maybe she can wave to him so he can see her. It sounds like Charmaine's going to be there also. So I'm wondering if maybe that's why there was a sudden attack on Charmaine in that live stream. Oh, Nova is going as well. Wow, we've got what legends. So we've got Nova, Shan, and Charmaine all going to go there and do the death stares. I hope that Nova and Charmaine are as good as Shan with their death stares, because she did a pretty damn good job. I'm hoping Janice Potty will be there again tomorrow, and I hope she gets another good parking spot. I'm more than happy to design posters that she can put on in the windows of her cars if she wishes to, with Lily and Jack's faces nice and big. I love the neon signs, but I think it would be really good to have a massive picture of Lily and Jack's faces there as well. And okay, Charmaine won't be there. Oh, someone said Charmaine was. Maybe they made a mistake. Shenanigans will definitely be there though. So I'm thinking, oh, sorry. That would be great, as in me design some sort of poster that Janice could put on her car. I'm serious. If Janice wants to park her car somewhere outside the courtroom, then I'm more than happy. Maybe it would be not enough time this time round, but I'm more than happy to design a poster that she can put up in her car. In fact, there are places online that print sun visors where you can actually have a photo on a sun visor. And I would be more than happy if Janice wanted to contact me. I would be more than happy if I can do it through Amazon to buy her a sun visor for her car with a massive picture of Lily and Jack on that sun visor. In fact, Shenanigans, if she's going and she's wanting to park her car somewhere, well, I mean, I will quite happily buy. I'm going to look into that actually after this live stream. I'm more than happy to buy one or two people a sun visor for their vehicle that has a photo of Lily and Jack on their sun visor, because that would be lovely. I think that would be something that would be really good to have outside the courtroom. But definitely, if Janice wants to contact me, I will buy her a sun visor for her vehicle if I can find an Amazon one in Canada. I will buy one for Shenanigans as well. I don't know the cost, so I'm not going to commit to more than that. But I'm also willing to create posters for people to put on their cars. I know I have a bit of money put aside at the moment in my Buy Me a Coffee, so what better cause than to put that money towards a few sun visors. So look, anyone that does want to pitch in, and it would be great to actually get photos of this, but anyone who wants to pitch in towards sun visors for anybody who is going to be parked at that courthouse, there is a buy me a coffee that I have, and I will use that buy me a coffee for sun visors. Anyway, so moving on from that, let's talk about speculation. I'm wondering if anyone has any guess on how quickly Daniel is going to exit the courtroom this time. Do you think he's been practicing to get out faster? Or do you think maybe he's told his cousin that he's going to ditch her? Maybe she's going to run interference this time so that he can get out faster. Hopefully the journalists will be wearing their running shoes this time so that they can try and keep up. But I'm guessing that they're going to have to try it really hard. He won't be led away in handcuffs this time. I'll go through that. It would be nice, but it's not going to happen this time. The other thing I'm speculating on is whether we will still see that black t-shirt under his top, or whether he will have listened to conversations from content creators and will be actually wearing something with a collar. So, questions. I just want to address the publication ban, because it seems that some people think that it doesn't apply to them. It applies to everyone. So when content creators, hi Shan, you probably just missed what I was saying, shenanigans. I have just said I'm going to, and maybe you could, you've got a Amazon wish list, haven't you, shenanigans? Because I have just said that I'm going to buy sunshades for Janice and shenanigans, which won't be ready this time round, but for your vehicles for the next court appearance. Sunshades, which hopefully you can get them in Canada, because otherwise that'll be a bummer and we'll just have to sort out some posters. But I would like to buy sunshades for Janice's car, for Shenanigans' car, that have Lily and Jack's photos on them, nice and big. Janice, I'm going to, if you wish, I'm going to design posters for your windows for your vehicle. I believe it was your vehicle that had those awesome neon signs. So after this live stream, I'm more than happy to sit down and design posters for your windows for your car. Maybe if Amazon does have those sun visors, probably the easiest way to do it would be shenanigans. If you can do a wish list on Amazon, and then I can buy them for you in your wish list. I can buy one for you, one for Janice, and then I'm guessing you could probably get it to Janice. We can figure that out. Email me. We'll figure that out in the background. But let's make it happen, because that would be so good. Let's make sure that Lily and Jack's faces are being seen. Okay, so the publication ban. Things have been off the dial a bit lately. We've had content creators putting out stuff that they shouldn't have, discussing someone who may or may not be the victim in this case. It doesn't matter. We shouldn't be speculating. We shouldn't be naming someone and claiming that they are the victim. We certainly shouldn't be naming and shaming or blaming someone and claiming that any of that negativity that is happening. There should be no discussion even remotely related to whoever the victim is, whether it's speculation or not. Not only that, there shouldn't be speculation about other people being connected to it, like Hayden and the stories there. Now, if Hayden was connected, you can bet he would be up on charges as well. So that is just a complete load of BS. Now, when it comes to people who are flaunting this ban, yes, you can lose your YouTube channel. You can have your Facebook page pulled down. And I would not be remotely surprised if we hear tomorrow of lawyers asking for extensions of that ban. Because people have gone rogue, people have done the wrong thing. Now, I hope it doesn't come to the case where it becomes a closed courtroom. But it would suck. It would really suck if it did. But at the end of the day, lawyers have been given a really good case now for requesting a closed courtroom. And that makes me quite angry because this is something that so many of us want to follow. I would imagine that at the very least, we may hear when the media might report back that the judge had a few words to say about this sort of thing. This is real life. Oh, so Janice, you don't get in. Yeah. I think if people don't start taking this seriously, it is possible that we are going to see a media ban. Not just a publication ban, but the whole thing is going to be under wraps. I think the media would fight it in court, but I think there's a few content creators who are jeopardizing our ability to find out. Oh, way to go, Shenanigans. When you have that set up, I will share the link for Shenanigans live stream in a post so people can find that. So Shenanigans will be live streaming from the courthouse. And make sure you wave to Daniel, Shenanigans. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the process in terms of where things are at and what we can expect. So we had the charges happen in early January, and then we had him make his appearance in early March. And of course, he turned up with no lawyer, even though he'd had a month to prepare. And this was actually something I had predicted, because I think Daniel is going to want to delay this as much as he can. So I'm willing to bet that he only contacted Legal Aid a few days before. So we were told that he will have a legal aid lawyer. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we still get some attempt at delays. I haven't looked at what time court is. Shenanigans, do you know what time? Well, you must know what time it is. 9:30, thanks, Janice. So court is 9:30 tomorrow morning. There may be an attempt to drag things on. This is usually what you see, especially with somebody as narcissistic as Daniel, because he's not going to want to face the music. So it might be something like coming in and saying, well, okay, lawyer's been appointed, we haven't had a chance to meet yet. We haven't had a chance to go over the evidence. There's always an excuse that a lawyer is going to come up with. Okay? I don't know why I said okay. I hate when people do that. I've been watching too much Chris McDonough, I think. But yeah, there's almost certainly going to be an excuse to delay it further. if it's not delayed, if you remember last time round, he chose not to have the charges read to him. Because obviously, with Daniel's personality, he doesn't want to hear that, and he doesn't want other people to hear that. It's harder to pretend that you are innocent when someone is saying the charges right to your face. It is harder to convince people that you are innocent when the charges are being read out in front of people. So, yeah, he decided to waive reading of the charges. Now, let's say that it does go ahead tomorrow. First of all, with this case, the charges are, they could have been summary or indictment. But, oh yeah, you are spot on. The lawyer will delay. You can guarantee it. Now, the options with the charges originally were summary or indictment. Those particular charges can go either way. But the prosecuting lawyer came out and said, basically, we are going with indictment because of statute of limitations. So it seems that there is no statute of limitations if you're going with indictment charge, but if it is a lesser one, and my brain just completely went blank because I've been reading everyone's comments. If it is summary, then my brain just completely switched off for the moment. Yeah, if it's summary, then there is, I believe, a statute of limitations. So straight up, it is indictment. So if he has a lawyer tomorrow, and if they're not delaying, although I would almost put money on it, then the next step in the process is that he has to either make a plea or he has to elect either way. So the first thing he has to do is choose whether he wants it to be heard in the provincial court or the Supreme Court. And whether he enters a plea tomorrow will depend on what court he elects to go in. So if he elects to have it tried in the provincial court, then he will enter a plea. If he elects for it to go to a Supreme Court, then it will not be, he can't enter a plea until the first hearing in the Supreme Court. So that's why he has to elect. If he's got a lawyer, if they go ahead, he has to elect tomorrow whether he wants to go in provincial or Supreme. A federal court. Okay, sorry. I'll put that up. I call it Supreme because that's what we call it in Australia. I got all confused last time. I thought Court of King's Bench was like the highest level court. Is that like the anyway, the next one up from provincial. If he elects to go to that one, then he won't be entering a plea until his first mention in that court. If he does go up to that next court, the Supreme or Federal or whatever it's called, Superior. If it does go up to Superior Court, then you guys are confusing me. Okay, so there is a Supreme Court of Nova Scotia and a Supreme Court of Canada. I'm just going to call it Supreme Court for now because I'm getting lots of different answers. I'm going to have to do a bit of research here. In Australia, the way it works is we have a magistrates court, which is the same as the provincial court, and then it goes up to the Supreme Court, which is at the state level, and then I think our federal court is like the Supreme Court of Australia, so it gets that added name to it to make it even more official. But yeah, we'll just keep moving on because my brain will just shut down if I have to try and figure it out. If he does go up to the next level, he can elect between a judge or a jury. Obviously, there's benefits to both. When it comes to Daniel, there is that whole narcissistic side of him where he may not want to be judged by his peers. But on the other hand, his lawyer might advise a jury because sometimes you've got a better chance of getting off with a jury if you've got a really good lawyer who can convince them. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Now, one thing I wanted to question, and I haven't looked into this, so it's something that I'm looking into. In Australia, if there is a conflict of interest, if you have someone who is represented by legal aid, but then the other person connected to the case is represented by legal aid as well, I believe what happens is that there is funding provided for one of those people to go to a private lawyer, and it's funded through legal aid. But I don't know how the system works in Canada, so I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah, I don't know, so I don't know. I hope I haven't confused people. Okay. Courts, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, Provincial Court. So it must be Supreme Court. So you must go from provincial to Supreme. Okay, so thanks, Candice. So they can't have the same lawyer, but they can both use legal aid. Thanks for clarifying that. I know in some places in Australia, if one person's got legal aid, the other person will be given legal aid assistance, but that will pay for an outside lawyer. It would be interesting to know if Daniel has toned down his risk-taking behaviours that we've been hearing about, because obviously we're not hearing anything more about what's going on with Daniel, but the last we were hearing was that there was a bit of risk-taking behaviours, the driving the car like a maniac and stuff like that. Thank you, Sammy. Much appreciated. So just a recap on the charges before we finish off. So the date for the charges applies from between 1st of September to 30th of March, which is why it falls outside of that whole statute of limitations. I wonder if they did that deliberately. Who knows? Location, I don't think we're allowed to talk about the location anymore. So the charges that he's up on, you've got the SA charge, which is Criminal Code 271. That one comes with, and because these are all now indictment, that comes with a possibility of up to 10 years. There is no listed minimum, so he may not get court time. He may not get jail time for that one, but he could get up to 10 years. And I'll come back to that in a moment. For the assault charge, that's Criminal Code 266. That's up to 5 years. Then for the, and this is the one that just makes me feel happy. For forcible confinement, and that's Criminal Code 279, Part 2, or Section 2, the penalty is 4 to 10 years. Yes, that happens in Australia too. And I'll leave that up so I remember to talk about it. So if he gets a conviction for forcible confinement, he's going away for 4 years minimum. Good night, Janice. enjoy yourself tomorrow. Now, when it comes to these charges, so you're looking at it potentially up to 25 years. But as Karen has said, there are 3 charges, and they often do this because if he chooses to offer a guilty plea, they may offer to drop 1 or 2 of the charges. It's one of the ways of just trying to keep the courts running smoothly, because if you can bring someone in with these charges and you can avoid a full trial, then, it's worth dropping one of those charges. This is Daniel, though. This guy has this desperate need for control. He is a narcissist, and I don't think he's going to believe that he's going to be convicted, because up until now, Daniel has been very good at talking his way out of things. He is very good at manipulating people. So he probably thinks that he can manipulate his way out of this. Candace, possibly. I actually suspect maybe not, given what the charges are. But I honestly would be very surprised if Daniel enters a plea at all, because of his need for control, because of his narcissism. So I think he's going to believe that this will be tried and that he will get off scot-free. Now, in terms of the penalties, the length of time, there are going to be aggravating circumstances which could lengthen his time that he serves. Hypothetically, if these charges were to relate to, like, in a case where you've got like any of these charges, in a hypothetical situation, if the person involved involved intimate partner violence or crimes, that is an aggravating circumstance, and it states really, really clearly in the criminal code that they treat that sort of thing more severely. Also, if there is any injury in that forcible confinement, that's going to add as an aggravating circumstance, and they're also going to take into account the effect on the victim. So, mental and physical effects on the victim. And I think those 3 will all be aggravating circumstances that will be taken into account. Now, going back to, does Canada use juries? Yes. Canada and Australia, our court systems are based on what is called the Westminster system. Basically, our court systems are, good night, shenanigans, enjoy yourself tomorrow. Email me, we'll sort out those sun visors. Our court systems are based on the Westminster system, which is the British system, basically, because we are Commonwealth countries. So yes, Canada does have juries. In this instance, in Nova Scotia, they can select jury or judge in terms of the trial, which is the same in Australia. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, but I think that's going to be quite a way down the track. I'm still expecting a delay tomorrow. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. So don't hold your breath. I think it will probably be just another case of watching the news footage to see if we can spot shenanigans, to see if we can spot Janice's car, to see how fast Daniel runs out of the courtroom, to see if Logan's bought a pair of trousers that aren't full of rips. That's probably about as much as we'll be discussing tomorrow. We'll see. Anyway, I think I've covered everything in terms of what we can expect tomorrow. I've shown you that lovely little cottage by the sea where people can stay if they wish. Let's just cross our fingers and hope that this does move on pretty quickly. Yeah, I can't believe she turned up in court in ripped jeans. I know people are like, well, you know, it's just court and stuff like that. But here in Australia, there is an expectation of respect when you walk into a courtroom, regardless of whether you are just there as an observer or if you are there for a case. And I would imagine it would be the same in Canada, that expectation of turning up in decent clothes. Yeah, I wonder if I somehow don't think Janie's going to turn up. I think he just maybe he'll have others, who knows? But I think we can probably put money on Logan being there. It is how you present yourself is important. Yeah, seeing someone turn up in ripped jeans in a courtroom doesn't matter that she's not the one that's there. She's there with Daniel, so that does reflect on him as well. But also just, you know, wearing that black t-shirt under his... Yeah, okay. Anyway, I've said enough about that, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Someone asked me a little bit back how Amir is doing. She's doing great. There were a few things that I had to just clarify with the vet last week. But he's quite positive. He thinks that at the moment there's nothing for us to worry about. She's finished all her medications. Her and Mouse are almost obnoxious sometimes with the amount of crazy play that's going on. So she's clearly feeling really good right now, which always makes me feel happy. Okay, so I'm going to finish it here. Thanks for coming in. I will do a live stream tomorrow morning after I've collected whatever I can of the media clips and stuff for Daniel's day in court. Obviously, for you guys, it won't be tomorrow morning, but for me, it will be. Before you head out, please hit the like button. That just helps me get this out there into the algorithm. Also, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you're replay view, please leave a comment. And even if you're not replay view, feel free to come back in and make a comment. Remember, let's send some love over Belinda's way. I think she really needs it right now. And definitely send some love across to Belinda, to Chelsea. And yeah, let's just remember that these are real people. Lily and Jack were real children, and these people that people are sharing rumours about, that are being malicious about, these are real people with feelings. So I'm going to finish it on that. Thanks for coming, and oh no, I can't finish yet. I've just got... Thank you, Charlotte. That is perfect to end on. Janie will be hysterical. I agree. But yeah, send some love Belinda's way. I think definitely it would be appreciated. Thank you for coming in, people. Great that you're here. Oh, I haven't actually checked, but Justin was live. I'm not sure if he's still live, but I was going to share. I haven't checked to see if he's still live. But if you follow Justin, you might want to jump over to his live stream if you're still wanting more content. Anyway, thanks for coming in. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.